stoked. I really would. First of all, he's a big dude too. He's 21 years old, super young, 6'6". He's a giant. I think when you look at an offensive lineman, you almost picture a Will Campbell type. So for me, I'll be excited. He is PFF's sixth best overall prospect in this draft. And depending where you look, he's always going to be high, at least in the flirting with top 5. So for me, and I do actually think he's a starting. I think right away he could start maybe all 5 positions. Like I'm not even maybe not center, but like I do think I think he could do it all. I really do. I'm not too concerned about his, what do he measure? His length. I just don't. I'm not concerned about those. I don't think those are true limitations for me with his game. But for me, if we were to draft Will Campbell, I would expect him to start over Braxton Jones. And personally, I think
he probably would, but I'm saying
he should. I would feel better if he battles out and beats him, right? That you always feel a little bit better, starting him that way, not just giving him the job. And I don't think, and the way Ben Johnson talked during his pressers and even Ryan Poles, no one's going to be handed anything. It doesn't matter where you're drafted. You just hope if you go number 10 overall that you start this guy. But say he is your left tackle and he is able to overcome some of the limitations. He has that flexibility to go inside, of course, if they have to shuffle, because that's just part of the offensive line this day and age. It's going to happen. But for me, if he starts out and he can play left tackle at a high level, and then you have Darnell Wright, who's 22. So you have 21, 22 on the left and right side. And then the inside is already been fortified for the most part. You have, Jonah Jackson's 26. I would say Joe Thuney has maybe 2 to 3 years left as far as like being a really, really great guard. And then same thing with Dahlman, who's 26. So you're relatively young outside of Joe Thuney, but you're really young on the outside, which is, that's where the money's made for the most part. So I would be stoked, especially if he can solidify himself as a, I would say star, left tackle, because I don't want him to be just average. Otherwise, that's what Braxton Jones is, So, but at the same time I think Brad Biggs talked about it. Say it doesn't work out, he is going to be a fit for a very long time inside. He's probably an all-pro level guard. If we're being honest here, and I know he hasn't played a snap, but that's his ceiling, in my opinion.
And that move happens all the time. You see especially. So there was, I can't remember who had this on Twitter, but someone was talking about, because someone made a comment here about, well, if we want a guard, why wouldn't we get Tyler Booker? Well, if you actually look at like NFL draft history, there's only been like in the past 5 drafts, like a couple of first round guards taken. Normally what happens is they take tackles who have maybe more measurements that fit guard, and they put them at guard and they excel. There's not a lot of instances where in the first round you draft a guard. So you might be saying, hey, drafting Will Campbell and then not having him start is, a crime. I would say drafting Tyler Booker, who's probably the number 1 guard in the draft, at number 10, that's a bigger crime, because based off positional value, that's not how the board would fall. So I agree. There's arguments on both sides about arm length. Joe Thomas, Hall of Fame left tackle, says it's not a real thing. There's some data out there to say it is. Who knows at this point, right? I don't think anyone's super sold on it. That's why you have these conversations literally every year. It is something that you have to look out for, though. But I'm going to trust, hopefully, the evaluation, because Poles did get the right tackle right. He did with Darnell Wright, even though it may not be Jalen Carter. He got that one right? It's a solid starter. That's what you're asking for in the first round. I would trust that if he drafts Will Campbell, that he's going to put him in the right place. And if that moves Braxton Jones out, I'm okay with that. That's a great depth piece. If Braxton Jones is your backup, that's one of the best backup tackles in the NFL. Right? Because if Will Campbell beats out Braxton Jones, again, Braxton Jones, at least grading-wise and at least tape-wise, he's top half of left tackles in the NFL. He might be like 16, 15, right? Like right around the middle mark, but he's not bad. So if Will Campbell beats him out, then like he obviously is a really, really good left tackle. And then now you have a really high starting caliber backup. So